with Assets and Arbitrage, and today is our 150th episode.
Yeah.
So let's 150 straight episodes on the Gentlemen of Crypto Network.
Yes.
Most of the shows being 2 hours.
Mm.
So that's over 400 hours of content just for y'all. So we're excited. We're excited.
Yes, indeed. As we jump it off, we always say stacking, stacking, stacking. Stacking your ounces, stacking your Satoshis, stacking whatever else you need to stack. And it's a good time. It's a good time to be stacking. It's always a good time to be stacking. So, yeah, today we're going to have a variety of topics and things we're going to talk about. So, like Erin likes to do, she likes to get some people in the room. So we'll talk about some of the events of the day. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Ramadan. How you
Thank
doing,
you, sir.
cousin?
I'm with you. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it was a 150 show. It's been a long, long journey. We didn't even know if we could make it this long. 100. It's hard to create content, and once we got into the rhythm of it, and we figured out different things, and we got some feedback from you all, things you wanted to hear about, so we could bring stuff to you that you actually cared about or you wanted to know more about. So that you all have helped us build the content. So I would like to say thank you for that. Thank you for your help and all that you pour into the show.
And your support. Right? You guys sit and listen to us talk for 2 hours,
Yeah.
3 times a week. That's hella support,
Yeah.
and we appreciate you guys so, so much. So, Cousin Ty Madon, I'm gonna call you Cousin Ty. Cousin Ty said he moved up from $5 a week to $10 a day.
There you go.
Let me say that again for the people in the back. Cousin Ty, dollar cost averaging went from $5 a to $10 a day. Oh, there goes KW1. Hi, Crip Work. How you
Hey,
doing,
what's up?
sweetheart?
How you
Thank
doing?
you for joining.
Thank you very much. That was good. So it smooths out that volatility. I'm assuming that is Swan Bitcoin he's speaking of.
I'm making
About
that assumption too.
Okay.
Unless
Correct
he
me if I'm wrong,
hops
man.
in the chat and says
Okay,
something
but
else.
yeah, that smooths it out. So if you got basically the math says that's $300 a month, instead of just boom doing it on the first, it smooths out the volatility as the price goes up and down, and you'll get a nice mean price if you want to do the numbers on it. Like every day, you say I buy at this price, I buy at this price, and then you can take it out over 30 days, and you can see what your average buy-in price is. And that's always good to know your average buy-in price, just so you know. Somebody say, "Hey, what point did you buy in?" We have to be. Excuse me, we're having a little bit of a windstorm.
Yeah, we're having a big windstorm.
Yeah, so forgive us if maybe the internet gets a little spotty, and if we go down for a little bit, just sit tight, and we will be right back. We will get reconnected. It's just we got to close these doors. They blowing the doors open and everything. But yeah, that's great. He upped it from $5. That's great to hear. And thank you very much for letting us know that. And that's what we like to hear. Um, so yeah, we just had a variety of shows. It's 150th episode. Really, Erin had the majority of what she wanted to talk about. I would just back her up, and as far as the things she wanted to talk about.
We still need a few people while to hop in the room before we get to chatting.
Okay.
Cousin Ty said putting some on Gemini and his ledger, and he's gonna get in Swan very soon. So it wasn't Swan.
Okay.
But dollar cost averaging, the fact that you graduated from a week to per day, we gotta clap that up. I don't have anything to drink, Cousin Ty, but some water, but let's salute him. Right, I probably should have a glass, that way when we salute y'all,
Salute.
it's done the right way. But we are very proud of you, Cousin Ty, and we love that. So that's fantastic. Funny story, y'all cousin Simon got stuff coming out the checking account daily, weekly, monthly. Every time we go in there, some investment is taking something, and No, it's gonna reconnect. Just give it a break when it goes to red.
Okay. Yeah, you get a little something taken out. You just spend it on something, useless, worthless anyway.
He talking about me shopping.
Bag of chips or something.
Some Krispy Kreme donuts is what he is referring to. I had a Jones in for some Krispy Kreme today. I had a long, long day at work. I had a meeting every hour on the hour, my entire almost 10-hour shift. So, only to come and talk to the cousins for 2 more hours. So it's been a long day. I needed to pick me up and I got it. But we want to touch base on a few things. We are hoping that a guest joins us. It's some very interesting content. I don't want to front run it just in case we have to move that to a different show. But I do want to talk to cousins. There's about 20 people in the room. It's 18 people. That's good enough for me. We are at the 6-minute mark. And I want to talk to you guys about some poor narratives that need just a little bit of sprinkle of triple OG expertise on it so that we can put those narratives to a more realistic and accurate narrative. So one of the narratives we've been seeing a lot is it's entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship is an incredible thing or journey for someone to take. You are now leaving the safe confines of an employer and you are basically your own employer. So there's a lot of people who are now taking that narrative and basically turning it into, if you have a 9 to 5, if you work a job, if you are employed, if you are a W-2, even if you're kind of a 1099 because you work for somebody else, it's whack, it's corny, it's stupid. I can go on and on with the poor narrative that goes along with that. So we just kind of want to, we're always here to add some actual expertise, actual experience. We've been around the world. We have hell of experience. And a lot of the people you hear these poor narratives from lack experience, and they're regurgitating points. And in regurgitating points, they are developing very poor narratives. Okay. So let's talk about the 9 to 5. First and foremost, a lot of people and when we talk about 9 to 5s, there's difference between hourly employees and there's a difference between salaried employees. Salaried employees typically have careers, right? So it's more than just a job. In that, many of those people who have careers and hourly employees as well will take the revenue from their employment and invest it. It is a stream of income, right? While you want to have multiple passive streams of income, being employed is also a stream of income, right? So we want to kind of shift that narrative just a little bit and just understand if somebody's employed, no, you don't want somebody working for an employer till they're 87 years old, right? That's terrible. However, if someone is employed, what you would want to do as an OG, triple OG here in the game is you want to help guide them towards investing that major stream of income so that they don't have to work until they're 50, 60 years old.
Yes.
Okay? 2, especially for your high revenue, your high income earners, those who bring in high revenue, you absolutely want to take that large stream of income and invest the hell out of it in as many investments as you possibly can to create your passive streams of income. Okay? So let's make those things clear. 1099 employees, especially you, because 1099 employees typically don't have compensation and benefits, right? So they don't have 401ks, they typically don't have access to health care, they typically don't have access to 403Bs or whatever the investment is with organizations. So we absolutely want to guide our 1099 cousins into understanding how important it is to invest. Okay, you don't have access to a 401k match program. So what you have to do is you have to establish your own. And how do you do that? We talk about dollar cost averaging, invest in Bitcoin. We talk about saving in precious metals, particularly silver. Okay, that's one or two ways that you can do it. There are a whole bunch of other methods, but cousins, y'all know our expertise is one of our expertises. Do your due diligence if you're gonna do something else. But understanding that in addition to employment, along with employment comes skill development, which I'm noticing a lot of adults lack. I know they came up with the term adulting. If adulting is a thing, there are so many people out there who lack the basic skills of adulting, right? And I'm saying that with a serious face. We can look at social media and we can see that people are in dire straits when it comes to the ability to perform the basic daily activities of adulting, okay? So one of the things that I want to put away with the poor narratives of employment is most people who are employed in somehow, some way, shape, or form are developing a skill set. Okay? Now, I'm gonna kind of put when we say 9 to 5, I'm putting the hourly employees to the side because many hourly employees treat their job like a job. I'm here to get a paycheck and that's it, right? So I'm gonna move over to those who have a career because people who are career-minded tend to put focus on their skill sets, the ability to acquire new skill sets in order to climb the ladder, in order to increase what they can command salary-wise.
Okay.
Let me keep going.
No,
I just want to make sure you didn't.
no, I agree with what you're saying.
Okay.
Because I don't know just an open definition on what a career is. You can put some parameters on it.
Yeah.
Something that, like you said, has 401k match. You got healthcare. You have dental.
But they're
you have
typically salaried employees, managerial level and higher. You can be entry level of your career and continue to climb the ladder until you hit directorate, C-suite, so on and so forth.
And people use the word salary. You think of people who make a lot of money, but that's not always the case. Some people make a little bit of money.
Some people
your
make a
salary.
salary of 30,000.
Yeah, some people there's people who are going to be trash collectors. Their salary might be right around there, 45, 50,000. It is their salary.
Yes.
They are allotted overtime so that they can make a lot more money. So your salary, if you work for the city,
Yes.
government, state government,
Yes.
federal government, they said 3 years ago, 66% of all Black people employed work for some form of government in one of those ranges. So that's your salary, right? If you're a police officer, your salary, firefighter, your salary. You work for the DEA, like my homeboy, your salary, and so on and so forth. But it's still your job. It's still a job. It's not 9 to 5. You're helping the community for the most part.
Yes, because as
Maybe.
the women turn their nose up at the sanitation worker, let the sanitation worker not visit your house for 2 days. And let's see what the city looks like. Let's see what your town looks like. Let's see what your municipality looks like, right? Let's see what the state looks like. If statewide something happened and all of the garbage workers decided that they weren't going to come and pick the garbage up, what about the animal catchers,
Those guys.
right?
Those guys are incredible. I've experienced them. They're incredible. They come catch some raccoons and be in people's crawl spaces.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen that. So those guys are incredible. For my people who live up north, people come out, salt the roads.
Yes.
Well, if they, you need those people.
Yes.
You need those people. They're kind of invisible to the public, right?
Right.
But you need those people.
Now, with that being said, I want to talk about the skill set that comes along with these positions. Whether you respect the positions or not, these people who are employed within these positions are developing a very unique set of skills that most of the time, as they continue practicing these skills and they're moving up and they're moving along, they're able to, I'm going to say, transcend those skills into a more unique skill set in order to command a higher salary. Now, you know, entrepreneurship, let's talk about it. 85% of businesses fail within the first 60 months. So that's the first 5 years.
5 years.
And if 85% of businesses fail within the first 5 years or the first 60 months, we want to start looking at why. When we talk about entrepreneurs, especially in this day and age, it has turned from working for myself, establishing my own business, to I kind of do what I want, when I want, how I want. And entrepreneurship is now having what I would like to say, the reputation is being tarnished, okay? And I'll tell you why. People have such a poor view on employment that they don't understand that the point of employment is for you to study under an already successful organization so that your organization can be successful. In this dimension that we live in, you need to have some type of mentorship, right? Training is everywhere. From preschool, children are potty trained, they're trained to sit, and be able to make it through a school day, even though preschoolers typically have half a day. Even before that, there's a lot of daycares that gear children up in order to kind of train them in order to be school ready. Then in school, they're training you for employment. College is training you for employment. Grad school is training you for whatever specialized employment you're going into. When you get a new job, they're going to train you, and you keep hearing about training.
Training. You decide not to go to college, you go to the military, they're going to train you. What's it called? It's called basic military training. Right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to go to basic military training where they will train you to be whatever, depends on which one you go to. Also, you see football players, they have training, right? Training camp. That's what they have. You see baseball players, they go to spring training. Mm-hmm. Even one of our favorite people right now is training. That's Mike Tyson. And that's Mike. Mm-hmm. And he's training. He's being trained. You see videos, you see these TikToks over there. He getting ready to take Jake Paul head off, And so he is training. He's training. And he is being told what to do by a trainer. This is wrong. This is wrong. Do this way. Do this that way. Training, there's no problem with training because wherever you go, you will be trained. If, for example, you can come out of college with a degree in, I don't know, you come out of college as a medical doctor, right? So if you get hired on at a hospital, they are going to train you as a doctor. Mm-hmm. To their protocol and Absolutely. How they do things, and you're going to have to get under their program. Mm-hmm.
Even if you've been a doctor for 10 years, if you move and go to another state or another city, you're going to go through training. Why are we going through all this? Oh, he forgot to mention, in the military, in the Air Force, we have what's called an AFSC. It's called an Air Force Specialty Code. In the Army, and I think the Marines, it's an MOS. It's the Military Occupation Specialty. Okay, you go to what we call technical school, which is technical training. I'm going through all of this because a lot of entrepreneurs today don't go through any training. This is part of the reason why the business fails. And a lot of time these businesses fail way before the first 60 months, right? They're failing within the first 12 months. They're failing within the first 24 months. Some of them are failing by second, third quarter, and it's because they haven't trained. So back in the day, we're about to show our age, you would be working towards one or two things, okay? When my husband got on with the fire department, he was under an apprenticeship, right? It was mandated to be under an apprenticeship. They even paid him.
Yes, the Montgomery GI Bill did pay.
Right, he was allowed to get the GI Bill because it counted as an apprenticeship training program, in addition to his city check. Or, y'all know I'm from New York, I'm from the big NY. What we would all aspire to and dream about one day is getting a big internship, with whether it was fashion, whether it was musical entertainment, whether it was movies entertainment.
Say what? Let's say that again. What kind of entertainment?
Musical.
Musical entertainment.
Yeah, whether it's
Oh,
like
so you're trying to get that Diddy internship?
no, no. That requires a different type of training.
All internships.
No, Diddy.
To say, all right.
It is, that requires a different type of training. But like even Broadway had an internship, right? So the understanding is you have to be specifically trained for this thing before we take you on seriously. When I say before we take you on seriously, before we pay you. Now, they did have paid internships. There were many cases of paid internships, but there were a lot of cases of unpaid internships. Wall Street had internships. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. When I say had, I don't mean like they don't do it anymore. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So we've come a far way from that, I think, because of the YouTube generation, right? People think they can watch a YouTube video and then just like build their own house. So we've come away.
Yeah, you have. You know, you Bitcoiners, you know Max Kaiser. If you're familiar with him, you know he used to work on Wall Street in the 80s, right?
And Raoul Pal, right?
Raoul Pal used to work for Goldman Sachs, and I think in the late 80s, early 90s.
Kathy Wood, she's hedge fund manager. I'm sure she had some type of internship.
Investments. And so these people now have their own empires and stuff like that, but they had to learn under someone else, get the game, and then break out and go do their own thing.
Right.
And it takes a long time. I mean, Max Kaiser's he's no spring chicken. No disrespect to Max Kaiser. He's the Bitcoin OG, but
he gonna hold that against
you. Raoul Pal, you know, these guys are older, but man, they built it up because of what they learned under the people who taught them, you know. So that's just something to keep in mind, because you should be training, you should be training, like you said, to get to a certain spot if you visualize.
But in order to establish that skill set, right, then you want to develop the skill set. Then you want to enhance the skill set. There's levels to this. The military has the best, I think they've defined the levels of skill the best. So when we first started, we were what you would call a level 3. And a level 3 is it's an apprentice, right? So you would be, whatever your code would tell what your job is, and then it'll tell what level you are.
Yes.
So you would start out for it. Well, in basic training, believe it or not, it's a 1, but you didn't have it then. You didn't utilize it then because you're all basic military trainees. So my code was a 4AO, so it lets you know 4 is hospital, A is admin. Can't remember what the 0 stood for, but I was a level 1 in basic military training. When I got to tech school, we did our course, we did our training, and we had to test. After we tested and passed, we earned our level 3, which is the apprenticeship. So now you're permanent party. You're headed to your permanent party station. For us, it was Lackland Air Force Base. You're going to work at the hospital. It's your first couple of weeks or first couple of months at work. You are level apprenticeship. Once you get the handle of that, at some time you have time and grade, you have time and service, and then you test again. Now you're a journeyman. So this means you should be able to work autonomously. You should be working towards leadership. So the first level of leadership would be an NCO, a non-commissioned officer. And once you get that time and grade, and you get that time and faster. Now you're moving from senior NCO to chief, right? It is the same way in the civilian world, even though it is not defined that way. And what we're seeing in entrepreneurship on the whole, especially with the shitty ass narratives I'm looking at and listening to.
And these MLMs, please.
I'm gonna do the MLM in just a minute.
Oh, please.
Right? Is that you have these people who are establishing business, and what they haven't established are the basic skill set. If you've never had to work for someone, you don't understand how crucial it is to be somewhere consistently on time every day. When people don't work jobs, you can see the lack of work ethic in them. They lack that skill.
Discipline too.
Right? So you got the girl, let's just say she does lashes. You don't know when she's open. You don't know when she's closed. And after a while, it's going to begin to affect her book of business because she's not working hard to build her book of business by being consistent. When you guys are dollar cost averaging your Bitcoin, you should consider that in your mind that you are building your book of business, right? And if you don't have a book of business, guess what? You don't have business, you don't have income. The two work together. So consider, because we run the house like a business, we run our marriage like a business, we even nation build like a business. When we are dollar cost averaging it, in my mind, we are building a book of business. And however consistent that business is, however committed that business is the outcome that we are going to receive back. You guys also know that I am heavy in outcomes, right? Every single thing we do today should be working towards a very significant, beneficial outcome in the future. That goes for building a physical book of business.
Yes.
If you're an entrepreneur, you have to set the time you are going to be at work and the time you are not going to be at work, and you have to be consistent with that so people know where to find you and when to find you. Mm-hmm. 2, very basic communication skills. Believe it or not, when you are not properly trained, you would not believe how bad the communication skills are with certain business owners. I have noticed in our community, young ladies who have hair salons, they're entrepreneurs, they've never really done business, they do hair when they do hair, they don't do it when they do it. Even when they're communicating to their clients, it is in such an abrasive, ratchet way that it turns the clients off. And it doesn't matter how skilled you are with that installation, or if you're a barber, it doesn't matter how cold the hairline is. If your communication skills are poor, if your clients feel like you're disrespectful in your speech, if you are poor in attention to detail and giving them the details they need to know so that they can pay you on time or pay you the right price and so on and so forth, it is going to affect your business. And this is why a lot of people are complaining about dealing with entrepreneurs in 2024. It is because they are skipping that crucial step of training and apprenticeship, starting a business, and believe it or not doing one iota of research on how to successfully launch and implement a business. Now let's talk about the MLMs.
Hold on, can I say something first?
Go ahead.
When they're starting these businesses and things like that, there are people out there who will say, okay, you have a business. How many employees do you bankroll?
None.
Right?
0. Nada.
So then now you get rolled back into what? Sole prop, right?
Sole prop. But did you even do the proper paperwork to categorize yourself as a sole prop? Are you writing off your deductibles? Are you, and maybe you're not a sole prop, maybe you're an LLC. Did you go through the paperwork? Are you doing the quarterly notes and submitting them to keep up your LLC so that it doesn't expire because you didn't compliance requirements? Do you know how to start a 503c? Do you know who is eligible for a 501c? Like, all of these little things, you would be shocked as to how many people go into, they don't have the basic skills that allow businesses to begin to bloom and thrive and grow. MLM. Doesn't matter what the MLM is. A lot of MLMs fail because the network that is supposed to uphold the pyramid, right? That's why they call it a pyramid scheme. It's still green, babe. Okay. Right? The network that's supposed to uphold the pyramid are not properly trained. It is a business. Okay, a lot of people, it's high time preference, so it's a poor narrative being marketed for the MLM. That's 1. 2, you're just trying to get people in so that you can get the subscriptions in order to uphold your book of business, but you don't have the skills to properly train the people beneath you. And the people beneath you weren't properly trained in order to be successful so that they can get a network beneath them. And this is typically why MLMs don't work. So many people, when you're dealing with MLMs, do not know enough about the product that they are selling. They don't understand how to market the product that they are selling. They don't understand the use cases that go with the product that they're selling. And this is why a lot of them fail. In addition to that, they don't know how to be consistent. They don't know how to do what I call, it begins with an O, it just left me.
Okay.
They don't know how to do, it'll come to me.
Okay.
But it's a way to kind of resist, it's a way to overcome when people don't understand or they tell you no and so on and so forth. It begins with an O, it's gonna come to me.
I know it's me. I'm no salesman, but yeah.
Right, there's a very specific term for it. And it all, if you were doing a root cause analysis, it's lack of training. They don't have business training, they don't have marketing training, they don't have presentation training, they don't have business. We talked about if you have a 401k match with your employer, it's technically free money, you're working for it, but it's technically free money. Max that out best as you can, up to $23,000 a year. Okay. I'm hoping that this is more stable. We are having a storm. We're sorry.
Yeah, $100,000. If you max out your investments to your 401k, $23,000 the max with employer match. So then your taxable income will be $77,000, and that will bring down the tax that you owe the IRS this year. Because when you take it out,
Penalty,
it's a penalty, but
20% penalty.
it's no. I'm not taking it out. I'm talking about when it's time to retire. You take it out. It's your time.
Oh, gotcha.
It's your time. I think it's 9%. Somebody check me
It's
on that.
between 8 and 10%. But
Right.
it's by the time you retire, it'll change.
Yeah, but you have put so much in there over the years, and your portfolio has risen over the years that you win. You win on the end, and if that's something you do, if that's something you have, the extra income to do.
Right.
Right. But it is a tax shelter. It's a tax shelter. It's a legal tax shelter for working class citizens.
If you are thinking about entrepreneurship, right, and we absolutely encourage entrepreneurship every step of the way, I would implore you, if you do not have experience, like real world working experience, I implore you to get a job so that you can learn how organizations, especially startups, right? How organizations get started, the things they do to remain solvent, how they approach problem solving. As an entrepreneur, you have to be solution centered, and it's typically just you. You don't have a colleague or coworker or cohort that you can talk to and ask and so on and so forth. You have to be solution oriented. But that is a skill that you have to acquire. You have to be able to perceive things in a way and see them differently, right? So it's like having an object. Oh. It's like having an object, you have to be able to look at the object this way, look at it this way, look at it this way, look at it this way, in order to come up with a viable solution to whatever the problem is that's keeping you from making a profit. Okay? So we wanted to do this show today to basically kind of kind of touch on poor narratives on social media. Okay, I get a lot of people who are giving people who work a job shit. And I'm going to go into this next thing. There are a lot of people in the space who are single. We tell y'all that all the time. So when you're an entrepreneur and you're single and you're not making money, if you don't eat today, it's no big deal. Right? You can get you some ramen, a packet of ramen noodles, you get you a coffee, you can buy you a donut, go to sleep, you be all right. But people in the world who have other people that they are obligated to can't take those risks right away. You just can't, right? They have mouths to feed. They have bodies that need to be clothed. They have people who are relying on them for shelter and utilities and so on and so forth. They have children, they have their nieces, their nephews, their grandchildren, however their situation is set up. And I'm noticing that a lot of the squeaky wheels are not used to, and this is what I'm talking about when we talk about problem solving, you're not seeing certain problems from every single angle. You're only seeing it from your anecdotal point of view. And it's a very myopic point of view, and it doesn't do well in business.
It does not. It does not. This is also goes back to Bitcoin that we talk about when in doubt, zoom out. So myopic is the very opposite of zooming out, right? The very opposite of
It's like
macro.
tunnel. I can only see it this way.
We're talking about macro. When you get to dealing with Bitcoin, precious metals, we're talking about macro. We're zooming out. What's going on all over the world, not what's going on in your city, right? In your neighborhood.
Right.
We're talking about the world. What's going on in China? What's going on down there in Argentina?
Right.
What's going on in Russia? We need to keep an eye on everything. And that's what she's talking about as far as being employed and not understanding that if I'm single, that's a dollar bill, as she likes to call it. You don't have to worry about keeping up health insurance for a sick child or,
Saving for college if the kids are going to go to
Saving for
college,
college.
or saving for their future, or saving for a grandchild
or
who's on the way.
paying daycare.
Right.
You don't have to worry about
Don't have to
all
worry
those,
about any of
all
those things.
All those costs. But when you build a family and you're building a community, you have to have people in the community who take care of things. So you're an entrepreneur and you send your 2 kids off to school and then you can work your business. But the thing is, if everybody was saying, I don't want to have a boss, I don't have a boss, you got teachers there who have a boss who are going to teach your children and going to take care of your children all day while you do what you do. But if everybody thought that way, then there would be nobody in the community
For you to send your children to.
yeah, or to help build up the community, you know. You want to send your kids to play football, basketball, well, you're going to need coaches and referees and
Organizations on the whole.
and athletic director, and you need a sports trainer. You need all these people who have to work for people who help the community out, right? Because the community, in my opinion, starts with the children, right? And we're going to raise them up. So we have to have people who can see over the children in different places, and so they work for somebody, but they also are very vital to the community, because if they weren't there, then what would happen to the children?
Right.
Who would teach the children as they
Right.
get older? You know, you got children
And cultivate them.
and cultivate
and
them.
nation build them.
And the things that they like to do, you know, all kind of stuff. Even we send our kids over here to like I don't know, it's kind of gym that has a lot going on. So you got basketball players, you got karate going up there, you got boxing down here in the boxing ring and all that. You need people who are going to teach and oversee that.
Yes.
You need a person who's going to oversee the gym and make sure everything is there.
You need a person to clean the gym.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so everybody can't, the people have their place in the community. It gets so large out here that, you know, once you get into a smaller community, you see it clear. Like we live in a smaller community, so we could see it clear. There's a man down the street who brings the water. That's his job. He brings the water to our water tank, into the water tanks of the people of the community. That's his job in the community.
There's a gentleman who paints the curbs yellow and paints the bottom of the tree trunks white,
Yeah.
so that at night cars can see the curb and can see the trees. Right? It looks like a menial job, but it's crucial to a community where it is dark. Just little things. But I want to talk to you guys about myopic anecdotal point of views.
Yeah.
I just want to give you a nice little demonstration on how crucial it is to expand your worldview. So, a myopic point of view will only see this as a diamond, not a great diamond either, but just as a diamond. And when we talk about being solution oriented, having a solution oriented approach, being solution centered, solution minded, that requires an expanded worldview. It can't be myopic. Once you have that solution approach, you can now see that diamond, right, as a square. You can see it in this shape. You can see it as a little triangle. You can cut it and make it a circle, but I just want to show you all of the different perceptions that you can see a problem from, where the next person can only see one problem and not have a solution and not be able to approach it with a solution.
Okay.
Right? You didn't like my demonstration?
I don't know.
Right, but I'm just saying we can see it in so many different ways, right? And it kind of makes me think about the flea and the tightrope. I can't remember what they call that, but they talk about the flea having the ability that this pen, well, this paper, according to us, is two-dimensional. But to the flea, it is a three-dimensional surface because he can traverse it in ways that we can't.
Yeah. So now she's getting a little bit off the rails because she might be talking a little bit about string theory.
String theory, but just the
Little bit
idea
off the
of the
rails.
perception of being able to approach this thing from multiple angles, and typically people who have a wider world lens, a wider view of life, more experience, more adulting skills, right? Their swords in their life portfolio are Ginsu sharp, can approach this problem in multiple ways and come up with multiple solutions.
This is true.
And doesn't rely on someone else to come up with the solution. And we talk about that here in the Bitcoin community because your laymen, your non-coiners rely on the government to come up with their economic solutions. Our show is all about being the flea, taking that two-dimensional surface and making it a three-dimensional surface and transversing it any which way possible to establish your own monetary policy, your own economic policy, your own fiscal policies, so that you can be the king and queen of your own domain. And the reason why we're talking about entrepreneurship, employment, 1099 contracting is because where's y'all money coming from for you to dollar cost average every day? And if people are out here shaming you because you work a job in order to dollar cost average so that you don't have to work when you're 72 years old, why are they shaming you? That doesn't make any sense to me.
And I don't want to really make it. Listen, I have a family of four. If hard times fell upon us, I would work at McDonald's as many hours I could get every
Right,
day.
if it just got that bad,
If
that
it
was
got
all
that
that was
bad,
there.
I would go get a second job on the weekend or at night. You know, it was a time when, my family, we grew up in the suburbs, so suburban. But my dad, there was a time when he had 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He was working, a night job. He was working a weekend job.
When we were a young couple, you had 3 jobs.
Yeah, he was working a job during the week. Like, he did whatever he had to do to, keep us, keep a roof over our heads so we could eat and everything. And it wasn't about shaming somebody for working hard, right? Like I said, I'd work at McDonald's. I take your order. I flip burgers. I do whatever I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be a janitor. I do any of the dirtiest jobs I had to do for my family. So that's why it's like we don't really care for that. That's like that narrative, because like, man, you got to do what you got to do though sometimes. Sometimes, the times are up, times are good. Sometimes times are bad, times are bad. You got downsides, you got to work harder, you got to take a job that you normally wouldn't take, but you need it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to flip it like that.
So if you are an entrepreneur or if you're thinking about entrepreneurship, I implore you to find a mentor. I implore you and the best way to develop skills, unfortunately, is for you to practice. It's for you to do. It's practice, 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 right? Not the Allen Iverson practice, but
Hey, no, it's not. Is that not Kevin
That
Meadows?
is Kevin Meadows.
What's
Hi,
up? What's
what's
up?
up? But let me talk to y'all in the chat, cousins. We said hi to cousin Ty. Let freedom ring. This is our 150th episode. We want to shout out Let Freedom Ring because he's been with us since like episode 6. So he's been here for like 140 plus episodes.
Struggle days.
Yes, so thank you so much, Let Freedom Ring, for your support. You are our longest subscriber, and we appreciate you. Cryptonomics is here. Cousin Tommy came tonight.
Yeah.
Cousin T. Will is asking y'all to hit that like.
Please.
Shouting out the family. Thank you, Cousin T. Will Line. Cousin Ty said MLMs. Big shout out to Wake Up Now and World Ventures, the beginning of my entrepreneurial roller coaster. We're going to talk a little more about that in a minute. Cousin Mo is here. Cousin Kevin, that is a personal friend of ours, personal family member. Yeah. And then T. Willine said they trying to make self-custody illegal. DCA, ETF if you scared. Yeah, we've been hearing a lot of regulation talk. Okay. I've been getting a lot of emails from people.
Yeah, a lot of regulatory talk.
About the regulatory talk.
Well, that's going to happen. I mean, that's just part of the game.
Yeah, they're going to do what they can to try to. Oh, Kurt Ware said congratulations on your success. We're excited too.
Thank you.
But with MLMs, right? I was saying if you are doing entrepreneurship, you need to get a mentor or you need to get a job, hopefully in something close to what you're trying to start your entrepreneurship in, so that you can learn and make your business successful. Implement the skills that you develop there and learn there and transfer it to your business so that you can be successful. MLMers, if you are like, look, I'm doing the MLM, I have to do it, whatever the situation is, my advice to you is this. You have to do some type of training. A lot of MLMs do come with online training. I don't know how solid they are and stuff like that, but it is going to require you to do self-education outside of that. It is going to require you to put in hours outside of that. You should also be doing self-education in business communication. If you're selling a product, you have to learn how to sell. You have to learn how to present that product. You have to understand, and this is hard for single people to do, no shade to single people, but you haven't developed that skill because you haven't been thrown into it to think about somebody else first and then yourself. Okay? Sales, the number one way to execute successful sales is to be able to understand your client's problem and provide the solution to the client.
Can I tell a story? Can I tell an interesting story?
You got a story to tell?
Yeah, I got a story to tell from a long time ago. Back in 2000 maybe. 2000. Mm-hmm. So I was still in the military working as a medical technician, cardiologist, medical technician. And I had a second job working for a company called Safety First. And what we did
I remember that.
Safety First, we did paramedic, what do you call them? Details to different things like Spurs games. This is San Antonio.
It was event safety.
Event safety, paramedic event safety. Now the owner of Safety First was a retired San Antonio firefighter. And what happened was
I didn't know that.
He knew that the fire department did these events. And so he went in, created a business, undercut the cost. The fire department was caught
from the city, right?
From the city.
Because it's overtime.
And then all of a sudden, he got all the events. And that's why his company blew up. That's an entrepreneur that I seen with my own eyes, but he was a retired firefighter.
Which means he had all of the skills he developed from firefighting. He had, and paramedic EMT. He had all of the skills in the real world use cases that he had come across over his long decorated career. And he was able to utilize that to provide a service to the city that was lucrative.
And he understood how the business part of the city billing works and how much they build these, whatever.
Lots of research, I'm sure.
And then he said, okay, I can just undercut the charge and then I'll get all the contracts when they come up. And all of a sudden he was getting contract after contract after contract. And he would call us all the time. Hey, can you free for this? You free for that? And we would go do all kind of stuff, ludicrous concerts. What was that crazy guy? I did the Oz
Shawn
Fest.
Michaels was there at an event you was at once.
Yeah, that was Spurs Fest.
Sweet Chin Music.
I did the Osborne
Sweet
Fest.
Chin Music. Oh, Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, we
did
did
he
that.
eat anything? Did he eat a bird or anything that night?
Yes, he did.
Ooh. Did you
And,
have to clean it up?
No, I did not.
Did anybody get sick?
No, it was.
Did he get sick?
They was drunk. Everybody was drunk. But and so this guy retired, and he figured out a way after his 25 years of being under somebody else's tutelage. He got to start a
But not really under somebody else's tutelage. He took his decorated career and transferred it into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But he understood the risk, right? Because if somebody got hurt while in his care, that was going to be a hell of a lawsuit. So he had to make sure that he was consistent and everything was in order. All of the I's were dotted, the T's were dotted. He made sure he understood what permits he needed. I can go on and on and on.
And he was.
He had to have all of.
He was also a veteran, Air Force veteran. On top of that, so he always threw work back to us young guys.
So that's marketing now.
Yeah, so he's throwing back. He said, "I know I can get young guys in the Air Force to come work."
That's marketing.
Yeah, and so
because they don't pay us nothing in the military.
Yeah, so we did. And I think I had a baby on the way.
We just got married. We just had a baby on the way. I don't even know. I think I was still pregnant with Sean.
Yeah, so but that's the one time I seen entrepreneurship really take off at the level that, because he had city contracts. You got contracts with the Spurs, you got contracts with the city, so you're getting money.
But you have to know who to tap into. You have to do a lot of research to figure out the contracts. That's business communication. You have to know how to write up a contract, right? So there's that. You have to meet with people. You have to be able to present yourself in a certain way. You have to dress in a certain way that is appropriate to what it is that you're trying to do. If you're going to be a boss, you have to look like one. You have to present yourself as one. You have to be able to communicate like one. And that's some of the things people are missing. If you are an entrepreneur or you are currently involved in an MLM, I am highly recommending a book called Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy, okay? So it really walks you through understanding not just how to sell, but why you're selling, right? It helps you to understand the product that you're selling, whether it's yourself or an actual product.
Yes.
And with everything we're talking about today, just understanding that MLM, entrepreneurship, if you're working for yourself, right? It's kind of like leaving the banks. If you're working for yourself, that has to be a low time preference approach. Yes. It cannot be high time preference. You can't flip $1 into 100 in just a few days. Right? It's very rare occurrence if it does occur, and it's not typical. No matter what your mentors in the pyramid scheme is telling you. Entrepreneurship doesn't matter what you saw on YouTube, what you saw on Instagram Live. You have to spend the time self-educating and establishing and developing your business.
And I want to say this, shout out to T. Will. He says, Jim Rohn
was the master of selling.
Yeah,
Jim Rohn's very good. Brian Tracy is excellent too, but his book, to me, The Psychology of Selling, to me is a great 101. It's a great start if you are involved in an MLM or if you're doing any type of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship, you're either selling a product or you're selling yourself, which is a service.
Well, I was going to say, one of the people I think give the realest take on entrepreneurship is Gary Vee.
Oh, yeah.
And he tells you, it's not glamorous.
No.
And he tells you, you got to eat ish, and you got to work and grind and spend time away from your family.
And that's the other core narrative.
And he he built up Vanyer Media to what it is now. But before that, he said he spent, if I believe I get this right, he said he spent 10 years working on his family's wine company.
Yes.
Before he ever got in front of a camera. 10 years just getting to be a expert.
SME.
Because if you go back and I don't know if they're still up, old Gary Vee videos, they're videos about wine and, the industry of wine and stuff like that and different types of wine. And like I said, he said 10 years before he ever got in front of a camera to teach people, right? If you see Gary Vee and he'll be there. He'll talk to people, and he'll have people come up to him that's 22, 23,
Yes.
24, and they'll say, and he said, "What do you do?" He said, "I'm a life coach." Man, he will lose. I'm telling you right now, man, because
23
like,
years old, you're a life coach.
how you gonna be a 23-year-old life coach?
Have you ever been married? Have you ever been divorced? Do you have children?
Is that an oxymoron, or am I missing something?
That's funny.
So yeah, Gary Vee gives the realest take, man, because he be out here. You got to get up. You got to sleep in different hotels. You're flying. You know, it's not glamorous. It's not a glamorous lifestyle if it starts to take off.
And that's what's being sold with entrepreneurship and MLMing. They are selling, and we talked about this in the last show, they're selling you glamour. They're selling you glamour. A lot of them don't have the glamour, right? They're doing the best they can to hold it together to sell it to you. And they just know just a little bit more than you do in order to try to game you into whatever it is that they're doing. Even in the Bitcoin community, Simon and I have been noticing some kind of disturbing things. We're watching certain things and I'm hearing certain comments. And let me tell you guys something. The Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. If you let somebody talk long enough, they are going to tell on themselves. The truth is going to come tumbling out. So these are some of the things that we're, just kind of making you aware of to vet when you're listening to certain influencers, when you're listening to certain people try to sell you something, if they're talking to you about, getting involved in certain things that require you to put up some money, you really want to vet that thing through so that you don't lose your money based off of someone else's desperation. I know a lot of you guys are very savvy. Like Cousin Jake ain't gonna let nobody talk him out of no daggone money. I know that for a fact, Jack. I put all of our silver and all of our Bitcoin, and ain't nobody gonna talk him out of no money, and they don't know what they talking about. But
he said he gonna take it to the grave.
he did. He did. Cousin Jake crazy.
I can take it to the grave.
But he gonna give it to them babies. Don't listen to him. But it's just a lot of poor narratives, relationship-wise, money-wise, business-wise, that is flooding itself through our timelines. And every now and then I talk to Simon, I'm like, baby, I want to speak up about these things.
So let's we do want to speak up. So let's digress a little bit into what I talk about there. These blue-collar workers who just maybe...
Y'all be short-circuit him out with the disrespect on the blue-collar workers.
Yeah, man.
Look, he got on the blue-collar right now.
Yeah, shout out to all my blue-collar workers, man, because we gotta stand next to each other, man.
That's so funny.
And I know big. What's
he
his
got
name?
a blue glass.
What's my man name? L1L. I know. Shout out.
Oh, shout out to L1L. That's our cousin. Cousin L.
Sometimes you got blue-collar workers who just put their head down.
And they undergird society.
And they just work, and they work, and they chop away, and they put a little bit away. This is what I can put away. Maybe I can't read a chart. Maybe I don't know technical analysis, but I just work. I put a little away. I just work. I work. Hard work also can get you there. Hard work, you can't just jump over steps, right?
You can jump to conclusions, though.
Right. You gotta get on.
You can't jump over the steps, but you can jump to conclusions.
You gotta get out there.
Oh, look, L1L cousins listening.
Yeah.
Shout out to L1L. I hope you got a good parking spot.
Yeah, so I shout out my blue collar workers, man, because we gotta do hard work out here, man, and people don't really appreciate it. They don't see us. We're invisible, I guess, to people. I had the. If you're a firefighter, you're in the military, it's just kind of...
I want to tell y'all something funny, cousins. I showed hubby this reel of this girl, and she's supposed to be super fine. She wasn't. But she was like, if you want a woman like me, she went down this list. You can't be a broke-ass police officer, broke-ass firefighter. Bro, she named, it was crazy though, because I'm like, you don't know how much these people make, apparently.
Because not for nothing. I was in my young 20s making six figures, and that's back in 04.
Yeah, she don't know how much they make.
And
but again, it's a poor narrative that didn't do her research first.
Yeah,
They're starting at 80,000 in Cincinnati. I
yeah,
think it's
and so
82,000.
I got neighbors, nosy white
The
neighbors.
rookies.
No disrespect if it ain't white people listening. Nosy white neighbors, like, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, they stayed asking us
That's
that.
a nice car you got. I said, hey, chill out.
It's a steep car note you're probably looking at.
Yeah, back then.
Da 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 da.
And it's just like,
How could you afford to live next to us?
right. It's like, what but
We
I
have
worked
jobs.
hard. I worked hard.
He
for
was
my
a
mama.
firefighter. I worked at the hospital. We made this.
I worked hard. I worked overtimes. I mean, I worked my ass off. I had 3 jobs.
Yeah, he did.
So yeah. I was making 6 figures in my 20s, and living in Cincinnati, where the cost of living is, man, it's below.
It's a little
below the
pricey
zero
now,
line.
though. It's a little
Yeah, I heard
pricey
it went
now.
up. I
It's a
haven't
little
been there in a
pricey
long
now.
time. But the point is,
Kevin's on here, so he could tell y'all.
now you made me forget my point because you
I'm
keep saying little
sorry,
stuff.
baby.
Dang.
I'm
The point is, there are people who work hard, blue collar workers who work hard,
Mm-hmm.
who should be respected. When you see them, tip your hat to them.
Yes.
Say, thank you. Say thank you for what you do. Have respect for them, man. Because I ain't gonna lie. Let's just keep it real. The Kevin Samuels generation, he brought up the high value man, and then all of a sudden, the women say, "I want a high value man. He got to be an attorney or some kind of surgeon or this, that, and the third." And I say, but they don't want a blue collar, regular, average man as they was being put together. And I say, what do you mean average man? And I didn't understand all these terms and they were putting on people like labels and terms. I can't just be a man. So I work for the post office. I can't get no love or it just was all this stuff. So, and these people undergird society. So we got to put respect on the name and go out there and look. I'm telling you, go out there, look at retired firemen, look at retired police officers, look at retired postal workers, look at all these retired people who work for city government, state government, and federal government. They living their best lives.
Yes.
House paid off. They got a new house somewhere else. They got a boat somewhere. They got a nice car.
But typically,
those people are the ones who living the high life now.
and I think one of the poor narratives is people who have wealth, right? Because again, they're using social media because people don't watch TV much anymore outside of maybe professional sports, right? They're coming away from watching TV the way we used to watch TV, and streaming is the new thing, and the reels and Facebook Live. Kevin said it went up a lot.
Yeah, I'm talking about 03, almost 21 years ago. So yeah, it's different. It's different now, but I was hitting my stride back then in my 20s. And we was living a good life in our 20s, and people hating on us because we look like kids. But hey, man, that was the game. But my job wasn't easy.
Somebody mistook your son for my husband. She thought it was you.
Yeah.
I was like, ew, no.
Yeah, so,
This is my baby.
and I knew a lot of people who had thriving jobs, blue collar jobs on the side. Landscape servicing,
But
thing like that, making money.
When we look at it on its head,
Mm-hmm.
those jobs have a very unique skill set. There's a mastery there. And we're able to kind of see more of that now using social media. Y'all ever sat and watched them clean a pool or landscape the yard or do the do-it-yourself construction inside of a house? You know how they'll speed it up for you.
Mastery.
Even the carpet cleaning. I don't know what's with me in the carpet cleaning videos, but that's mastery, right? To take this rug out of the dump and bring it back to almost brand new. Why would you do it? But there's a mastery to it. We used to watch something with dirty jobs. Jim Rowe with dirty jobs. Mike Rowe with dirty jobs. There's an expertise there in cleaning out what's the name of the tank that got the poop in it and it always explodes in the basement?
Oh, you're talking about the ones out in the country.
I can't think of the name of it. But him having to clean it and clean the sewer out in front of the yard, all of the toilet paper, all of the baby wipes that goes in there, flush it so that your bathrooms can work inside of your house and probably your neighbor's house.
Yeah, there was a video on there with I don't even know if I'm gonna name these guys because I'm not really a big fan of it, but I caught a clip of the video.
What'd that be?
I'm not a big fan of the podcast, but they had these girls on there.
Oh, I know what podcast you're talking about.
Yeah, they had these girls on there.
Don't say it though, just in case.
Yeah, I had these girls on here and they asked her like, hey, would you rather have, 6-figure job cleaning the sewers in the city, or make $30,000 being a flight attendant. And everybody, flight attendant, flight
Because
attendant,
there's
flight
a
attendant,
glamour
flight
to the
attendant.
flight attendant. They feel like they're gonna meet Nas in business class, go on a date, have brunch on Sunday, and start this, illicit love affair. And this is what we're talking about, the poor narratives.
He's gonna send you home.
But he did meet a flight attendant, and they did have brunch on Sunday.
And then he sent her home.
No, they went to Antigua first.
Then he sent her home.
Remember they extended the stay? This is like his whole album. I'm telling y'all the story of his whole little album.
Long story short, she got sent home.
She did get sent home. But we're going into all of this because we want y'all to understand that with jobs, whatever it is, employment, whatever it is, there is a unique skill set that you can take from this organization. The way the organization communicates, where they keep their treasury assets.
Shout out to Cryptonomics.
Cryptonomics said, yeah, I had 3 jobs and full 16 hours of classes in college. This new generation, they don't. And that's why we want to talk about the poor narrative. So I was saying that social media, the reels, the videos, the Instagram lives, they are pushing this really bad narrative that people who are papered up, that they live this life of, we got this house in Miami, we're gonna be in this big house in California, we lease these nice cars, we taking pictures in front of Bentleys and Lamborghinis. I have stacks of cash. We don't never have no cash on us. We have stacks of cash. We're wearing all of this jewelry. My hair costs $6,000. And you're like, you know what? People who are really papered up like that don't live like that.
They do not.
And they're actually very, very cognizant of whatever their budget is. And yes, wealthy people have a budget. That is how they stay wealthy.
If you're gonna run your life like a business, you must have a budget, right? There's not an accountant. And if you have a budget, you see some of these wealthy people I see as athletes. Some stories where accountants come to you
and tell you
you're spending too much, and you're like, nah, I got it, but you don't always have it. The accountants get you in trouble for tax evasion, tax fraud, these things, and then
they're also taking some.
They're taking some, and now you got to go sit down and do the time. And they're saying ignorance, hey, that's your money.
Ignorance is no excuse for the law. So, but you hear stories. Ray J tells a story. His accountant, he went to buy this car, and his accountant said, no. He was like, you can't tell me, no, that's my money. This was on a reality show. You can't tell me, no, this is my money. He said, I'm highly recommending that you do not purchase this car just based on the income to debt ratio that you have. You probably hadn't been working or whatever was going on. You bought the car anyway. And then you're going to hear, he's filing for bankrupt. You hear T-Pain went broke. How? Because he bought a whole bunch of cars and he wasn't watching his paper. He said himself in several interviews, he was following the programming that they've been giving us. If I'm a rapper, I'm supposed to have a whole bunch of cars.
I think Fat Joe said he went bankrupt 3 times. 3 times. He went back. He had money, and then he had nothing. And then he built his money back up, and he had nothing. And it's just the lifestyle that they lead. They don't really oversee their money and stuff like that. And then you got people, a white person named Robert Gronkowski. You guys know who he is. He played for the Patriots, and he lived off of his endorsement money only. All salary went away.
Well, let's use a black example. Chad Johnson has a whole bunch of kids. He's extremely money conscious.
Now.
Right? He had a nice conversation with Shannon Sharp. They're very good friends. Shannon Sharp was talking about flying in a private plane, and Chad flies commercial flights and coach.
Yeah.
All 8 children do too.
He's smart. And you know who else did that? Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch is very money conscious.
He lived off that.
He lived
off the money he got, and he didn't spend none of his NFL salary.
Yes.
And that's smart. Somebody told him that. That brother went to the University of California, Cal, which is not an easy school to get into. So people try to play him out like he's a dumb jock, but you know what? He's smart. He went to the same school as Aaron Rodgers. Played on the same team as Aaron Rodgers and Cal, didn't he?
They didn't like that he was here so he don't get fined.
Yeah, but they give Aaron Rodgers love because, yeah, he's smart. He's smart.
You know why they give him love.
Marshawn Lynch smart.
It's the time we live in.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, working hard. The NFL is a hard job. I mean, it's a glamorous job if you're a quarterback, but after that, it's all in the trenches. It's rough. It's rough out there. That's why you see guys like Aaron Donald retiring after 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
He was a beast. He's tired. He's tired of that banging every play. So he said, I'm out of here with my money and I'm gonna go lay low with my family. And so and you see that a lot. Jason Whitworth retired. I'm sorry, that's Jason Whitworth. What was his first name?
Don't get me started.
Whitworth. They played for the Bengals for a long time. He retired, man. He's tired of
Kevin on here.
beating up in the trenches. But what I'm saying is, the word is, sometimes men just do hard work. Whether you work at the plant like they used to, you go out there, you work 12 hours, you come home, you work in the coal mines, old school. Now people are working in silver mines. Well, maybe not here. And then
I have 48 hours of labor and delivery. That should count.
I guess.
That should count for hard work. 48 hours of labor and delivery total.
I don't know about that.
You were there. I was 18 hours with Sean, and on average 10 with the other three. Tino's probably like 5 hours, but only because I almost died. That's why that took too long. But yes, so we want to just kind of highlight because people are romanticizing this glamorous. Let Freedom Marie say happy 150th. Jake also said happy 150th. We want to not glamorize, and the glamour is in order to sell certain things. And one of the things the glamour is supposed to sell is squandering your money. Okay, let me say that again. One of the major things the glamour is supposed to sell is squandering your money. We are part of a very large wealth transfer. And what they want to do is have you transfer that wealth right on back. They're losing control of the way they manipulate money. You can see we're talking regulatory talks right now because they're losing control over how money is being dispersed, where the wealth transfer is going. They were used to being in charge of the wealth transfer for centuries, and now they're losing it. So what they're doing is they're pushing narratives. The Black community, are a multi-trillion-dollar economy collectively. I'm gonna say that one more time. The Black community is I feel like Umar Johnson, is a multi-trillion-dollar community collectively. They want that wealth back. Too many of us have gotten that foot off of our neck and are establishing some sort of freedom and untethering ourselves from one or more areas of activity that Dr. Lee Fuller had explained that they've implemented on purpose.
Yeah, and in that number, I think it's a little skewed because a lot of that is credit. And
it is credit, absolutely, absolutely.
It's not money you really could access.
Absolutely.
If you get a home, people got home
right,
people got expensive cars. So it's not like they got free-flowing cash flow.
But we are a multi-trillion-dollar economy. Yeah. Black people collectively, especially, they say 13%. I'm going to say more like 26%. That's my number, y'all. You can quote me. I don't know if that's a real statistic, but they want that wealth back. So what do? They put the puppets in front of you in music videos, in reality shows, influencers, and they are literally getting paid to get the regular people to squander their money. Now they got these young girls thinking that in order to be fulfilled, that you have to be with a man who makes $692,000 a year.
Right.
Mayors, presidents. There are kings in some countries that don't make $692,000 a year.
Yeah, so they tripping, and you've seen that.
And it's unrealistic. Two, no man who has built his company up from the ground has established the discipline and consistency and commitment in building a company and having high disposable income is going to allow you to come along and squander it. No man's going to allow you to do that. Ladies, I'm married to a six-figure man. Yes, I built it with him. And I'm going to tell you right now, they have very specific standards and expectations that you have to follow. They're not going to allow you to squander the empire that they built. It's not reasonable. And it's not realistic. You are seeing entertainers do that, right? Because they get their capital a different way. You're going to get the rapper who's going to take such and such out on a date and spend $50,000 on her. You're going to get the Drakes who's going to have a different date every time, but these men aren't marrying.
Yeah, but we're talking about the business class and the blue collar jobs.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is
We're
where the
talking about-
narrative is.
Yeah.
Business class, that's not how they operate. If they don't run their business like that, they're not going to run their personal life like that. So we need to bring some type of truth and accuracy to these poor narratives. The things that are being romanticized, we need to bring the real world application to it and say, this is the realistic part of it. Mm-hmm. Right? Yes, we told y'all in the other show, you get glamour from time to time. You can go travel and do this, go on vacation with your family, do fun stuff, rent the house with a nice pool, but nobody's seeing the 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. days when you're working.
And let's go in the Wayback Machine. So say you are in a relationship and you're trying to tell your wife, significant other, hey, let's dollar cost average into Bitcoin. You're like, well, what is that? It only costs about $800. And you're like, nah, that's a lot. But you said, nah, we'll do it. And you dollar cost average into it diligently. And then you come up 10 years later, you look up and you're like, wow, little low time preference got you a far away, didn't it? And continue to do that right now. Even if you just bought your first Satoshi today, day zero, day one. 5-10 years, because 10 years will pass, because it doesn't pass quick, and you'll look back like, dang, I've been down there, and I got a lot for what I have been working for. So, keep that in mind. I don't know.
No, I didn't say I didn't like that comment. I agree with that comment. Cousin T. Willine said that the Black community is in trouble until they get rid of the matriarchy. I agree. I don't know what's going on with the women in the community. I don't know where these narratives are coming from. I don't know why they are. They don't make any sense to me, but I am well outside of that airspace and I am in a bubble. Mm-hmm. I tell you guys all the time, my husband changed my life. And how did he do it? I had to sit and listen to him. I had to learn from him. I had to take notes. I had to ask questions. I had to do what we call like shop talk. My baby wants to talk about finance and economics. If I want to bond with him, if I want to have a good relationship with him, Erin got to learn about some finance and economics so that she can have a great discourse with her husband so we can bond over these things, right? And I wish I could get some young ladies under me so I could tell them the real, like, this is what life is really like. These are the ways that, things should, these are the approaches you should take. These are some of the things you should take to heart. But I never come on the show, sit in the seat, talking to y'all as a subject matter expert, and don't tell y'all this was my mentor. And I couldn't sit in this seat and talk to you with the level of mastery that I talked to you with if it wasn't for him. The matriarchy, they ain't gonna like that either. They don't like that at all, but it's the truth. The truth is the truth.
Yeah, matriarchy is a little rough.
Right? The truth is the truth. But we had to kind of talk about the poor narrative with employment, right? Employment has its utility. I tell you guys all the time, right? All the time. Utility is very important. Everything has its utility. And when you're living in the world that we live in, and you're trying to gain skills, and you're trying to gain expertise, and you're trying to gain mastery, you have to be able to find and utilize the utility in everything.
Exactly. Shout out to Kevin Meadows. What did you say?
He said leadership coming under a head.
Hey, shout out to Jesse Lee Peterson.
Oh, Lord.
For you guys.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's my homie.
Cryptonomics said, let the choir sing. I'm singing for the choir. I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to do that, but somebody said something funny. Oh, it was Cousin T. Will. He said my number's off because the Mexicans have passed us up. I bet they did. I don't have those stats.
Yeah, they probably did, man.
Cryptonomics said, when I get my new whip, these YouTube folks definitely gonna be scratching their heads again the Lambo. Just send us a picture, cousin Cryptonomics. Send us a picture.
Nah, man, I got children. I'm gonna get a Sprinter van, I guess.
I know. Instead of us getting something sleek and nice, we got grandchildren gonna be here one day. We gotta get the big Mercedes Sprinter so we can go on our little road trips and
Driving
stuff.
around, go to the grocery store in a Sprinter van.
But yeah, if you're getting involved, like I said, MLMers fail because they don't do the self-education needed in order to really flip it, right? And it's because they have high time preference. They feel like they don't have time to do that. They need to make some money now. And you don't understand that in this dimension that we live in, and I think Cousin Rue would agree with me. I know he's not on here now, but shout out to Cousin Ruel. In this dimension, you cannot reap where you have not sown. And that's just that. You have to put some type of energy, some type of energetic labor into a thing in order to be able to get something out of it. Right? And that's just facts.
Yeah.
That's what it is. If you want to be a successful MLMer, it is possible. But the work that's involved, you have to have a low time preference in your approach. If you are an entrepreneur, you have to do the work in order to have a successful entrepreneurship. We have a very good friend of ours here. He wanted to open a fried chicken shop in a small town in Mexico. He spent a year in Louisiana going from place to place to place to place with masters of cooking in these little small hole-in-the-wall joints in order to get his fried chicken recipe perfect. It is the best chicken we've had in Mexico. It's better than even the Popeyes they opened up in Mexico City and on Insurgentes. So that type of commitment, and he just has a very small shop. It is very successful. Line be around the corner. Right? There was somebody else we brought up that did something significant. We were talking about it yesterday besides Richard, besides Walter.
All right, Walter, let me think for a second on it, and it might come to my mind.
Right? But hi, Nerd Up Inc. What's up? Thank you for wishing up a happy 150th. We have 51 people in the room, which is poetic, right? I should have called it at 50.
Oh, you can catch the 50.
Would have been perfect if 150 people piled into the room. Y'all, that would just make my year. It would make my year. But, you know, we really want to start having these discussions because the narratives out there are wild. So y'all wilding out there. Y'all are really wilding out there with these terrible narratives. And of course, the people who have the most to say about you shouldn't work a job and you whack if you work a job, and there's a difference between working for yourself and being unemployable. Yes, I said it.
Yeah.
Right? Many people who talk all of that smack, it's not that, you know, they're gung-ho about working for themselves. Yeah. But the truth of the matter is you don't have the skill set in order to be employable enough to sustain yourself and your lifestyle at this point in time in your life. So you have to do entrepreneurship. And in that, you are projecting the rejection you feel onto other people who do have careers and who do have revenue coming in every 2 weeks. And I find it mind-boggling that you didn't jump to the conclusion that people are utilizing that major stream of income in order to invest. That's nuts. You're using that income in order to create your passive streams of income, right? It's one stream that you've now have flowed out into many. I don't even understand why.
It's mathematics, you know. If you have enough income, you have enough capital, just the interest is
right. Nobody's working a job for the sake of working it. And you know, if you have a certain approach to life, we call ourselves scientists. Whatever it is that you do for the majority of your day, and typically it is your occupation, you will pull the different utilities out of it in order to build up your life portfolio so that you can command wealth in a multitude of areas. right? He has a consultancy. I help him with his consultancy. And I use a lot of the skills that I've developed over my career in order to take his consultancy to the next level. That's what the jobs in your employment should be doing, right? If you do, he is an entrepreneur, but I've taken my W-2 experience and we're able to, where that is a significant amount of revenue quarterly over the year, right? My paycheck every 2 weeks is great and fantastic, but
But yeah,
when his invoices come in,
and then you could always, take profits. It is your
take your
take
profits,
some
pay
profits.
yourself first.
Pay yourself first. The old school Dave Ramsey told you that. You get paid, you pay yourself first, even if it's just 5% of your paycheck. Pay yourself first, and you'd be in a good spot over 25, 30, 35 years. And just like who said they upped it to $10 a day? If you could,
That was Cousin Ty.
if you can do that over and over and over and over, you'll
From
be in a good
10 to
spot.
20, 20 to 40, and just compound it. I mean, you're already off to a great start, Cousin Ty. You're off to a fantastic start. That's excellent. And, like we said, the whole point of this, it doesn't matter what you do all day long. Wherever your revenue comes from, you take that and you invest it, right? And you find ways to, if you're holding it somewhere, hold it in a high yield account.
Yeah.
Right? Find different ways to enhance your banking. Right? Do the self-education in order to take yourself to that next level, to up-level yourself, to up-level your family. We're always talking about people in their family and people in their family, and I'm noticing that these poor narratives typically come from people who don't have the life experience of having to think about other people or having to be obligated to other people, right? So that's why a lot of these anecdotal points of view and life references are so not just myopic, but it's just a small point of view, and they're not able to see it from the other angles because they don't have the experience to see it from other perceptions. They just haven't. You're just not skilled enough in life to do so.
Right.
Which is why the narrative's so janky to begin with.
That's deep.
So, everyone should have their own cash on hand at home. Correct. Be your own ATM, especially when the ATMs disappear or dry up. Cryptonomics, there's a flood of situations where the ATM just don't work, right? The banks are having issues. They're not maintaining the ATM. My mom told, was you listening?
No, I was
So
listening.
you know that she has a ATM, she has two ATMs on the property, and then the bank is literally across the street.
Oh.
So the two ATMs on the property don't work. The bank's across the street. One of those ATMs don't work. She has to go into the bank to withdraw money, which she doesn't like to do, even though she's old and she's used to going into the bank. Bother to tell her anyway. But can you imagine what the line looked like? Now, most people are going to drive to the next ATM, but why would Wells Fargo have 3 out-of-service ATMs?
We'll get it right.
And I don't know why they're out of service. I don't know if they're out of cash, if it's a technical issue, if it's a mechanical issue, but.
You don't want to run on the banks.
Right.
Because their fractional reserve is probably under 10% now.
And we read that article where they don't have it.
Yeah. So these smaller banks, these smaller banks, you got to watch out for your little, what do you call it, credit unions and things, your little city banks.
See, he said the withdraw cash option didn't work.
Yeah.
He went to ATM last night. So yes, you need to have cash on hand.
Yes,
we talk about this all the time.
Good friend Andy Scheckman says 5,000.
And then Ricardo says 3,000.
So it depends on your tax bracket.
Yeah.
But have something on hand because stuff like that is happening, and that could be problematic.
He said it's U.S. Bank. So how many more minutes did you have to drive in order to find an ATM that worked? Because now it's eating into your gas.
Yeah, now you got to spend gas to go somewhere else.
And what if you were getting cash to get gas and ATM didn't have no money? Now you got to drive some more. So you have all of these little dilemmas springing up. But we do want to work as a community to start stepping on these bad narratives. Like, let's put some oil on these squeaky wheels, shut them up, shut them down, and start getting real information from people who know, because they have the experience and they know what's going on. They can tell you the truth about some of these things that's happening. When you guys go on YouTube and you listen to Deca Millionaires and other higher influencers, you never hear them talk to you about squandering their funds. They're always talking to you about productivity and ways to increase your wealth and ways to think about things. And you'll just notice that there's a disconnect between the real and the puppets that they put in front of you. John Logan, are there still folks paying for things in cash? John Logan, come visit your cousins in Mexico. This whole town is cash heavy, and they don't even really have the technology of debit cards. It's as simple as having a square. They call it something else here in Mexico. I can't remember what they call it here in Mexico. Really like a terminal. But in other parts of the world, there's no Apple Pay, there's no Google Pay, there's no Cash App card, which only works in the US and the UK. There's a lot of places that is cash heavy, and the local economy has to keep a significant amount of cash on hand to keep the cash flowing through an environment that is wildly unbanked. And this is what we mean when we say we want y'all to start traveling so you can see things outside of your anecdotal references. It's nuts, right? Mexico City, yeah, you use your card and stuff, but Mexico is a lot bigger than Mexico City. If the cash machines aren't working at a store, if the terminal's down, if their internet's not working right, you gotta pay with cash. If the grid goes down, Apple Pay ain't gonna work.
Yeah. So that's why you gotta have, like you said, cash on hand, because if the grid goes down, you can't access your Bitcoin.
No. Well, they said they have the manual way to do it via text message as long as your phone is still charged.
Yeah, as long as you know what you're doing.
And you know what you're doing.
Right, but in a panic sense, you're like, oh man.
Most people don't.
Yeah, you'll be panicked. You'll have cash. You'll be okay. That may happen. It will happen, but hopefully.
But John's comment is actually quite interesting, because you've been in the U.S. for so long and so used to like the technological advances, and Japan, forget it. Japan has far surpassed the U.S. in technological advances. But when you start visiting the other parts of the world, like a debit card looks crazy to them. What is this? It's, all right, we'll give you cash. Do you have change? Nope. And they're answering to keep that big bill you handed them. So you have those issues, especially, and Mexico is not even a developing country.
It's fully developed.
It's fully developed, but there's a lot of it that looks like frontier land with the way they operate their economy and stuff like that. In the city that we live in, it's largely unbanked. All of the money is going into hands and pockets. It's not being deposited in the bank. So when the bank has to fill up the ATMs, they don't have enough cash flow.
This is true. This is very true. And the people understand that, right? They don't trust the banks.
That too.
They do not trust the banks as they should not.
He was in Tulum. Everyone was using cards in Tulum, correct?
Yeah.
So you do have these small places in Mexico that, yeah, you can use the card. You probably can use Apple Pay like in Mexico City. But Mexico is a gigantic country. It's big. And there's a lot of places where it's cash only. It's cash only. There's a lot of Black people in Tulum too. All right, you good?
Yeah, I don't know. Did anybody in the chat room say anything that we need to reply to?
He was just saying that he went to Tulum and he was able to use his card, no problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we go to Mexico City, we don't have a problem. We go to Toluca, we don't have a problem. But in the nice little town we live in, it's a problem. We have to drive on the highway to get gas because they're the only ones who use the card.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 gas stations in our town, they have card machines, but they're not configured for dollars. So there's that other problem.
Yeah. So then you need like a Mexican bank account with a Mexican debit card, and then you can use it in certain places. So yeah, there's that. But we'll finish this out. This was our 150th show. You know, it's been a lot. We put a lot of work in. I think we've gotten a lot better since show number one. I have to go back and look at them. Sometimes I go back and look at them just to see, you know, what come along. But
I can't stand my recorded voice, so I don't watch any of them over again.
yeah,
Can't do
I watch for imperfections and
Yeah.
stuff like
He's
that.
good with that because he'll come in and tell me, you were heavy tonight. I said, I know, the seizures really do a number on me. And I can't pull those words that I need. And I'm still mad because I can't remember that term for it's something handling. Objection handling. When I was talking about sales, you have to enhance your skill of objection handling. That was gonna drive me nuts. I was gonna wake him up 2:30 in the morning to tell him when it came to.
I probably been awake. But yeah, so it's a good show, and I appreciate people popping in, popping out.
We love you guys so
61
much.
people in the room. Thank you so much
Thank you so much.
for being here. Thank you for our normals, you know, people here.
The chatters, cousin Cryptonomics, cousin John, you're coming from Twitter, and we are so happy to have you in the room. Who else? Crip Work was here, Nerd Up Inc., Kevin Meadows, where you been at? You know your brother gonna call you as soon as we hang this up, so you better answer. Let Freedom Ring, our longest supporter. We will be forever in your debt with the amount of support. Cousin L1L, Cousin Jake, give our Bitcoin baby Journey a kiss, and tell Mrs. Fever that we said hello. Cousin T Willine. Oh, J-Man was on. Cousin Jay was on.
Oh, was it?
That's Justin.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, I know he snuck in the room on us. He finally caught a live. Thank you so much for visiting us, Cousin Jay, and thank you so much again for the help with the boys. Cousin Mo, Cousin Ty, we're going to salute you one more time, Cousin Ty, because that's a great graduation. To go from weekly to daily dollar cost averaging, that's a huge feat. So we are glad to hear that, and you will be on your way in no time if you keep up that consistency and that commitment. So we're gonna let you go. We probably should let y'all go at the 1 hour and 50-minute mark, but we're gonna let y'all go now at the 1 hour and 36-minute mark.
Oh, okay.
And we love y'all so much. We'll see you again
I suppose Wednesday.
Wednesday at 7. Mamba out.